Running your own business can be lonely, finding reliable professionals difficult, and generating new business challenging, but not when you have a business network. NewGen Networking provides its members with new and exciting business opportunities, with the chance to build lasting relationships with vetted businesses who can act as your sales team and solve the issue of who to turn to in your hour of need. With a range of flexible and affordable solutions, NewGen apply tried and tested principles in a modern way to suit today's world. To find the right option for your business, visit newgen-networking.com or call 03333 600 680. NewGen Networking. New business, new contacts, a new generation of networking. You're listening to the NewGen podcast exclusively on the Pod Station. Here is an interview with one of our members from the Vinci Hub.
Good morning, everyone, and a big welcome to Zach from Peninsular. Morning, you okay?
Good morning, yeah.
Right,
good.
I'm quite excited having Zach here today because my spent most of my life playing football at one level or not. So yeah, very interesting to find out about what you're doing. Can you just start by giving a little bit of background and sort of what's led up to setting up your company as well, really?
So I am a football coach. I was a grassroots coach I'm currently 10 years, but I was about 6 or 7 years in, and I was doing work for various companies. I worked for Everton, the community. I'd worked around a couple of professional setups as well. Majority of the time, it was kind of aimed at taking kids out of grassroots, trying to get them into private academies, trying to get them into academies. And most of the time, kids just turned up and wanted to have fun. So I recognised that, and I started off just by doing, every now and again, a one-to-one coaching session with some of the kids who play for my football team, Vauxhall Chevrons. As you can imagine, in the football club community, once word spreads that you're any good, a lot of people come booking. So at one point I was doing 3 a night, 4 or 5 days a week, and it was long hours, but it was definitely worth it, especially when you get to see the kids progress on the pitch. So that led up to me and my business partner, who was also a one-to-one coach. We kind of looked at each other and said, there's no point in, we're not competing with each other, but maybe we can come together and we can build something special. At that point, we put on our first football camp during a half term, which we had probably about 30 to 40 children attend. And then it was like a light bulb moment. We'd done a presentation at the end, giving the kids the certificates and medals, and it just kind of clicked. And it was like, right, okay, well, the kids have had a good time. We've got parents coming up asking us to take pictures, and they've really enjoyed it. It's been really good. They want to come back to the next one. And then from there we were kind of like, right, okay, well, we need to build this. So funnily enough, the March, that was in the Christmas and the December, and then the next camp would have been the February, which we did, and then after that we would have had the Easter. But unfortunately in March of 2020, kind of life-changing events happened, didn't it? Yeah. And then that's when it was beginning of March we incorporated the company and we got on steady ground. And then we had a long wait to get us up and running again, but thankfully we did. Yeah,
I think it's amazing. My involvement's just been my own kids doing it, really. Yeah. But I think the fact that you're doing it and you've not got your own kids involved.
Well, not
you
yet.
You must be mad. No, it's brilliant. So obviously a lot of stuff with children. You touched on your qualifications, but things like insurances, qualifications, sort of what you've needed. Have you got?
Yeah, so we employ a team of 5 coaches. They are all FA qualified, so they've all done their FA safeguarding, they've all done their FA first aid, and all the qualifications are kept up to date, and we keep them up to date. In terms of myself and my business partner, I'm a UEFA B licensed coach, probably going to be A licensed within the next year or two. My business partner is currently doing his UEFA B. Now, we go above and beyond. We try and keep in touch with the FA and try and keep all our qualifications up to date. That is solely from the coaching side of things. Now, as a business side of things, we needed our public liability insurance, one of the biggest challenges we found was we put a summer tournament on here, and that was 48 teams on one day, and we had to make sure that our insurance was all up to date, it was all up to scratch, and it was covered for the right purposes. So a mainstream event for footfall and public liability. And once we did it, we went round a couple of different insurance companies, and they quoted us for probably one event a year, and it was astronomical, the price they came back with. We went to a Bluefin Sport, who specifically deal with sports companies, and we managed to get it down to a reasonable price and to have as many events through the year as possible. In terms of camps, we have to have certain insurances and our risk assessments as well, which is a big one. After COVID, we had to have specific things in place. So after every session and every day, we had to sanitise footballs. Coaches had to keep their own footballs, and we weren't allowed to use bibs, believe it or not, because of kids changing them over. But there was loads of risk assessments in place, and also you've got lone work, and if you need to take a group of children to toilets, if you need to be sat in a lunchroom with them, everything has to be right and up to date. Now recently the FA are bringing in a scheme where private coaching companies as ourselves, they're trying to monitor it and police it. So, which is a good thing. You have to have the appropriate qualifications, you have to have appropriate insurances, and you have to have the appropriate risk assessments in place. So some lad on a field isn't just charging you 25 quid to kick a ball on grass. You have to have public liability, safeguarding, and all your qualifications.
Because there are people out there who do that.
Absolutely, and
one-off to.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, if you're a good coach, you can do it.
Yeah.
But things have to take the necessary steps to keep children these safe.
Yeah. You touched on a few of the things that you're involved in. What are your main sort of offerings and services?
Our main offerings are our big ones are the half-term football camps. So we after lockdown, when people were allowed out the house, our first camp we did was in Easter half term. We were expecting about 40-50 kids. We ended up with about 90 children. So for anyone who's seen the football stand over there for the main, we filled it with parents, with children, and luckily enough, because it was outside, it was an open space, and we could keep social distancing and stuff like that. 90 children filled that stand. It was unbelievable. It was probably one of the best moments of my business career so far. But other than that, an October half-term camp coming up this month, this half-term, and also through the week, every Monday and Wednesday, we run group sessions for children from 6 to 12 who, if they just want to get involved in football, even if they've never played before, all abilities, to come down, have a kickabout, learn some technical ability, learn some social skills, and also boost confidence and try and get them involved in the game and have a positive experience with football. And
do you do anything with, you say you've got your own football team you're involved in as well? Do you do any sort of specific one-to-one with other teams? You do teams in as well?
We work very closely with a club in the local area called Bromley and Eastham JFC, and we have development classes for them. So any from toddlers, so you've got 3, 4, 5 years of age, they come to the first group, and then we have a separate group which is under 6s, and what we do is we prepare them, get them ready to play football. We get them ready to go into teams. We get the coaches ready so they know what to do, what to expect throughout the week, and that's very beneficial. It's great to see.
Okay. So quite sort of new to NewGen. You've joined recently. How do you think we can help you? What sort of people specifically are you looking to?
Well, obviously we get a lot of people in the room, don't we? We get a lot of people who deal with businesses, and more importantly, the vast majority of people are parents. When it comes to half terms, when it comes to summer holidays, even through the week, if you're looking to keep your children active, if anyone can just pass our details on, if we all do it, we engage in a bit of small talk, we get conversations going, I've got kids, they play football, they do this. A lot of the people in here sponsor football teams. So anyone who we can get the word out to and get more and more children attending, because the more and more children attend, the more and more children we get to improve, we get to teach something new, and they get to experience something a bit different to everyone else does.
That's brilliant. That's great, and I'm sure we're going to have quite a few questions for you. But my final question is, who do you support?
It's the mighty Toffees, isn't it? It's Everton Football Club.
So just ignore the last 10 minutes of what you said. Do we have any questions?
Hi, Zach. I've been coaching now 16 years. Is there any advice you'd give to a new coach who's looking to get into coaching?
What I'd say is dive straight in. Don't hesitate, don't think I can't do this. I've been doing this 10 years and I learn something different every single day. Like, failure is just part of the normality of coaching. You might try something one day and it doesn't work. You come back to it, revisit 6 weeks later, and it'll work. The most important thing is your commitment. If you really put the effort in and you're committed and it's passionate, you've got no problems. It's just something that you need to dive into. If you go on the FA's Introduction to Football course, it gives you everything you need to know to start up. A basic understanding and knowledge of coaching, and then from there's so many great resources out and about that you can build yourself on. But as long as you've got energy, passion and commitment, you'll do really well.
Hi, Zach.
Hello.
I'm really interested to hear about the girls. Do you have many girls join your camps, and do you get many female coaches? Yeah,
so we've currently, we'll keep on student week, we have a 17-year-old student who works for us, who we're doing work experience for. She coaches a girls team at Bromber and Eastham. We have a girls session specifically for girls through Bromber and Eastham, and we have a camp where we have probably about 20 plus girls attend. As you know, female football is starting to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and to be honest, there's so much appetite for it, and it's great. There's a massive girls section at Bromber and Eastham and at Vauxhall's Football Club, and the vast majority of players come here and they come to us because they trust us, and it's great.
One thing is we talked about, which may be useful to the room, is obviously we talked about firms who sponsor football kits.
Yeah.
There could be an extension to that, where the firms who sponsor football kits could also pay for a coaching session, arrange coaching sessions for the kids, and also you could save the club money by sourcing the kit and other facilities as well. Is that something you're looking at the moment? Yeah. So we obviously have, as we spoke, Phil, we would be more than happy to, if a sponsorship wanted to throw 4 sessions in to improve the kids and to give them that little bit of professional coaching, because as we all know, if we're pairing coaches, sometimes you're doing it just because your son or your daughter's in the team, and it does become a little bit daunting. If you can sit back, watch what we do, and we can give you advice, it'd make all the difference, and obviously you set you on a good stead to help these kids enjoy their football. But absolutely we can offer that to sponsors, and I think a lot of sponsors would be more than happy to do it as well.
Hi Zach.
Hi Dave.
Football's obviously a very emotional sport where everybody's got their own ideas on what's right and what's wrong. From a parent's perspective, what's your advice to parents on what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing with the children?
My advice to parents is go and talk to the coach. Every single time, go and talk to the coach. If a person is volunteering to coach your children, they are giving up their time, their free weekends, their time with their own children to coach your child. So do not approach them with a funky attitude. Do not approach them with the fact that, something's not working. More often than not, if you go and talk to the coach, they'll give you a reasonable explanation for what's happening. If you're unhappy with something, it has to be a nice conversation, because otherwise you're in jeopardy of losing that coach, and you're in jeopardy then of trying to get someone else to run a team. For me, I've dealt with a lot of parents over the last 10 years, and the most important thing as a coach to a parent is to be honest, and it works both ways. You're honest with the coach and you're honest with the parent. Everyone's on the same page, everyone understands what's going on in terms of your child's development, in terms of what they might need to do or what they can't do, unfortunately, what might be beneficial to them. It's the majority of the time, honesty is the best and most easiest way to get what's best for everyone. So yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
Dave's just hit on a point there which is quite relevant, and so did Helen. So when you're talking about sport, there's always a natural propensity for parents just to ruin it all with that whole competitive edge of
not
win,
all,
win,
but
win.
sometimes,
and that then obviously lends itself to people who either parents who haven't naturally been involved in sport themselves, so need an introduction for their kids, or their kids perhaps haven't done it themselves, and so there's that concern of, if they turn up, are they going to be the really rubbish one who gets picked last?
Yeah.
So what kind of things do you do in your sessions that help sort of deal with that, or put the parents' mind at ease that this is come down because irrespective of the skill levels, they'll get the same number of touches of a ball and all that kind of stuff. Really.
Well, it all comes down to practice design. So a lot of the time, every single child who comes to our sessions, they have their own football. So whereas in a group session with a team, they might get on average 20 to 25 touches of the ball if they're playing games and stuff like that. With us, they'll probably average well over 500 touches, because the first 20 minutes of every single session starts with a little practice we call My Ball and Me, and it's all ball mastery and it's all touches. So developing that technical ability to try and get people as much time on the ball as possible is great. And then how you design your game situations, how you design your practices going forward, to be able to give them kids the opportunity to be on the ball as much as possible. And also as well, it might not just be about education for the player who his ability is not quite there, but it's about educating the players who are there and saying to them, right, this is a team sport. You need to include every single person. A little bit of background on camps. When we turn up, we have ground rules for the kids. Before we go out and play on the pitch, every single child understands what's required of them, and that is to make everyone included. That is to make sure everyone's having fun, and to make sure everyone is playing football to the best of their ability. And that just goes for not just the lesser ability, but the higher ability players. As we all probably have seen, there's players who can run through 20 people and score a goal. There's no point in that. What about the kid who's only getting 1 or 2 touches? He needs to be passed the ball. So again, it comes back to a little bit of practice design where, okay, every person on the team has to touch the ball before you're able to score a goal. It has to be that someone specific has to stand in the box and they have to set to someone to score. There's loads of different ways of doing it, but the most important thing is making sure everyone's included, and that every single player, whether it be senior, whether it be teen, whether it be children, understands that. Because then you're not just shaping the player, you're shaping the person as well, because these are important lessons through life. It's not just, I might be really, really good at something, and then you take that into the outside world with that attitude. It's not going to get you very far, is it? So it's not just the player, it's the person. And it's the same for the parent. We do a lot of parents education. So going back to the under 6s sessions, we do a parents evening at the end when we're putting them into teams and go, this is what's required of you, this is what you need to do. If your child has lesser ability, we need to identify it and we need to just work around it. And it comes down to, again, being honest with absolutely everyone. And there's a lot of hard questions in football, but they can be made easier by just talking and communicating properly.
Obviously, with what we've been through, we've probably all got a responsibility now to get those kids out who are now stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you starting to see them come and you see them develop a bit?
Yeah. I mean, on our sessions, I've funnily enough, a young girl who comes to us, Amelia, and she's been coming to our sessions for the last 3 months. She was one of the players who ability probably wasn't quite the same as some of the others, but now she's doing things that she'd never dream of doing. And there's about 3 or 4 players as well who do exactly the same thing. Now, I'm in a lucky position where I know a lot of coaches, I know a lot of people within grassroots game, and you can go and talk to them on a Saturday and say, how are they getting on? What are they doing? What are they doing in the games that are bringing them on for you? And they say, well, it's all down to your sessions, because stuff we don't get to work on in training, you can work on outside of, and it gives you them that extra confidence. If a player goes into a game, takes someone on, takes someone past them, you'll notice the first person they look at is the parents, because they smile because they're enjoying it and they've done something good. And then that's just solely down to patience with coaching, developing the player and developing the people that they're going to hopefully become.
Really good questions there as well. Just have a one-to-one and get to know a bit more about it. That'll be great. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers very much, guys.
If you would like to visit one of our online or face-to-face hubs, visit NewGen-networking.com and book a place. Get social at Network NewGen on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn.